streaming, we are recording, we are live.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Higgs Flicks podcast.
This is our second time streaming on Twitch, and if you want to catch our broadcasts later, you can check them out on our YouTube channel, which there is a link in our channel bio.
It should be.
Yeah.
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I did that. I did it, so it should work. It should be there.
Well, we got a lot of things to talk about, don't we?
We do. I want to first say, if you hear any, noises, our cat decided to wake up from his nap just in time for us to start streaming. So if you hear any purring or hear his collar going off, that's our Binksy boy. If you look at our channel logo, you'll see a cat involved, and he is very much a part of everything that we do because he will not leave us alone.
He's kind of attached to the hip.
Yeah, so he had to be included in the logo. He is definitely a part of Higgs Flicks.
Mm-hmm. He's a part of the Higgins family, so he's a part of Higgs Flicks. Yeah, so we got a lot of things to talk about. We have, of course, more of our Blu-ray collection.
That's right.
We have God of War.
God of War turned 3 this past week, and so we thought we would take a dive into that.
We got the Oscar nominations.
That's true.
And what else do we have?
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The big thing we want to talk about is a spoiler review of the finale, and also talk about a little bit what's to come.
Because some very interesting things came in the news today.
Yeah. So should we get started with Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I think we should start with the Blu-ray collection.
Blu-rays, we can
save
definitely
Falcon
do
and
that.
the Winter Soldier for later because that is going to have spoilers in it.
That's very true.
And we want to actually keep people on this stream for at least a little while if you haven't already seen the episode.
Very true. So,
So, first up on our list is the Aaron Sorkin written film directed by Rob Reiner, A Few Good Men.
and for those who haven't tuned into our first video, we are basically going through our entire Blu-ray collection in alphabetical order and talking about the movies that we have. We have a small good collection.
I say we have about at least 300.
Definitely growing, continuously growing collection. So we ended off the last stream with The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, and we are continuing with A Few Good Men.
We are still in the A's. Today's episode was brought to you by the letter A. But anyways, this is A Few Good Men. It is a court case drama about Jack Nicholson, who basically has a couple of people murder one of his guys because he wasn't keeping up. And let me just say, I absolutely love... Let me just say...
Sorry.
Whoa.
I was checking something.
We just got some feedback on our own episode.
I was just making sure it was streaming. Because I did not get a notification on my phone, and I was like, what's up with that?
And so Tom Cruise plays a very reluctant lawyer who has to defend these guys and see whether or not they are guilty or innocent.
Tom Cruise plays a plea bargain lawyer who never really sees a case to its end. In fact, he's never stepped into a courtroom before. So, and I don't know, when was the first time you saw this movie?
I think I saw this when I was 22, 21 years old.
Oh, so older.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw this much later in life.
Yeah, I was, my parents showed it to me when I was a teen, and I think my parents saw it in theaters, and they had an option of 2 movies. And it was this or Disney's Aladdin.
Aladdin.
And they picked A Few Good Men.
They wanted the truth is what they wanted.
Yeah.
But could they handle the truth?
Crystals. I love this movie. It's, even as a teenager, I found it very captivating. Even though it's a very dialogue-driven film, it's exciting. It's interesting.
Well, a lot of the dialogue works because it's based on a stage play.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of the movie is just the stage play kind of shaved down into a more cinematic format. And so they'll show you things in the movie that wouldn't exactly go in a stage play, and they would cover that up with dialogue, but now you're actually able to see a lot of the story take place before your eyes.
Sorry, my cat's trying to turn off the computer. Yeah, and so when it comes to, bringing plays to plays to screen, you're suddenly in this show not tell scenario, but for this movie, the dialogue still works so well.
Right.
And I think I read that one of the ways they were able to implement the movie aspect was when he realizes, toward the end, and we will be spoiling all the movies we talk about, when it's, oh gosh, I hate that I can't remember the names of the characters, but when he realizes the guy who was murdered hadn't packed his clothes because he was under the impression he was going home, you see him like go along the jackets in his closet, because he did that earlier in the film. That's something that they would have had to physically say, like, hey, I'm seeing all these clothes in this closet, and so why didn't he pack when he found out he was going home? But they were able to show that.
Exactly.
So I want to move on to the next?
I think so.
Oh.
Airplane. The best comedy that has ever been created in this entire world.
This is the funniest movie I've ever seen. I also saw this as a teen from my parents. And I think this thing's rated PG, right? Yeah, it's rated PG. The old PG.
And there's topless women in this film.
So, one of the things that makes Airplane an amazing movie, I highly recommend it, is its visual gags. But I don't know, it's got everything. It's got the visual gags.
It's got puns.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of slapstick.
It's great quotes.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Don't Call Me Shirley. That's what started my drinking problem.
Which is accompanied by a visual joke.
Yeah, where the main character says that he has a drinking problem, and it's not like an alcohol problem. It's he literally can't drink properly anymore. He'll try to take a sip of water and accidentally throw it over his shoulder. It's got Leslie Nielsen. So one of the things that make these movies great is they would hire serious actors.
They play it so straight.
Yeah, so even though it's a comedy, the characters never act like it's a comedy. They play it like it's a drama.
It's a really good example of deadpan.
And Leslie Nielsen, after this, went on to, of course, star in The Naked Gun.
Right, and then he became synonymous with spoof movies in general. Because after Naked Gun, then it was the Scary Movie franchise, and then superhero movie, and then those really awful movies that came out after the Scary Movie era. Like, do you remember Meet the Spartans?
Sorry, it's my cat. I never saw that.
Okay, I didn't see it either, but man, if you saw the trailers for it, it was rough. Basically, they were trying to throw every last pop culture reference you can.
Oh, no.
And this came out in, 2006, 2007. So, of course... Oh, by the way, it was a spoof of 300, the Zack Snyder film.
Oh, this is when spoof films were huge.
It was when spoof films were huge. It's where they were at their most popular, but that was when they had start to go down in quality. That's the thing.
They were basically,
they were a dime a dozen after a while.
I was gonna say it was because they were based off specific movies, but so was Airplane.
Okay, so here's the problem with Meet the Spartans, is that they don't spoof just one or a few movies in a franchise. They spoofed everything. So they even had a Britney Spears reference, because of course they did, of her shaving her head.
Oh no, that's terrible.
I know.
It's funny. I'm not surprised because you said the 2006 era where they were being edgy just to be edgy, and now it's complete cringe when we look back on it.
There was a spoof of Narnia, the White Witch was in it, and so was Willy Wonka. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no.
You're already starting to understand. I think there was a Transformers reference at one point.
Well, we were talking about The Naked Gun. They're going to be doing a reboot of The Naked Gun, and while of course that would make anyone be like, oh no, I don't know if this is confirmed, but I've heard that it's going to be Liam Neeson, who is normally a drama action guy.
Right.
So I feel like if you had to pick anyone to, take Leslie Nielsen's place, I would get why you would
Right.
pick Liam Neeson. All right, so funny enough, the movie my parents did not go see is what's next on our list, and that is
Aladdin.
That is Aladdin. Believe it or not, I didn't see Aladdin until I was about a teenager. Unlike most Disney movies that I saw as a kid, with the exception of my cousin owned this on VHS, and he played it once, and our less like a foot big TV, like less than, I swear, it was a tiny TV.
It's so amazing how small TVs were back then, and now we have these humongous TVs, and just like, I can get a bigger one.
It was one of those like VCR combo TVs.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was practically portable. But I remember him putting it on. And so, year after year, I just kept thinking to myself, man, I wish I could watch Aladdin. And I think, I don't know if I even owned it on DVD. I somehow found a way to watch it. But, so if you haven't seen it, I mean...
What are you doing with your life?
Check out this one and not the live action.
The live action isn't awful.
Yeah, we actually got to see it
on our honeymoon.
It was on our honeymoon. So here we honeymooned on a Disney cruise on the Disney Dream, and something that's really cool about Disney cruises is if there's a Disney movie that happens to be premiering in theaters, it will show on the ship.
That's how we watched not The Last Jedi.
Well, we didn't.
Solo.
Solo premiered on the cruise we got engaged on.
That's right.
I've also been on the same. Rise of Skywalker premiered on a cruise, and we didn't even go see it. We were like, because a lot of times they'll premiere it kind of earlier in the day, because they don't want to keep people up too late. It's like, oh no, just we'll have it on, even though it's not till midnight. We'll have it playing around 8. But for Rise of Skywalker, they're like, it's premiering at midnight on the last night of the cruise, and we were like, we're going to bed. And I had also kind of found out the reviews weren't good, and I'm glad we didn't stay up for it.
Well, I think after The Last Jedi, we were like, I'm not staying up till 3 a.m. for Star Wars at this point, and now I'm singing a different tune after Mandalorian.
Right. Well, I mean, it depends on the direction they were going, and they have completely changed. But that's how we saw the live-action Aladdin. It's not the worst of the live-action remakes, and that's not saying something, though. But, I mean, have it you will. I remember, so Robin Williams, the late Robin Williams voices the genie in this movie, and I remember where I was when I found out that he passed away. I had a friend over, we were playing Minecraft.
Oh, wow.
And I was turning off the PS3, because that's what we were playing it on. And I got a notification on my phone. Actually, it might have been the PS4. And it said, Robin Williams dead from suicide. And my first thought was, wow, I didn't know there was someone else named Robin Williams. And which, I guess it took a little bit for it to sink in, because I was like, no way.
Robin Williams would never.
Yeah, so, check in for
check in with your friends. You never know what they might be going through.
I think he also was suffering from hallucinations from Parkinson's.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he was having early onset I don't know, that's not dementia or early onset dementia, but I think he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and which can cause hallucinations.
Oh, that is so terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew that. But I was at a Marco's Pizza.
Oh, wow.
This episode is not sponsored by Marco's Pizza.
Why would it be? Sorry.
If they ever want to sponsor me, great.
I have never been to a Marco's Pizza.
It's pretty good.
Okay.
But yeah. I think this movie stands on the shoulders of Robin Williams. Without him, this would be a very okay movie.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And if you actually get the opportunity, there is a live performance of Aladdin on the Disney Fantasy, so one of their cruise ships. And the guy who plays the genie does a fantastic job. He doesn't try to emulate Robin Williams at all. He just tries to be crazy. Mm-hmm. And he does such a good job, and he's able to change it up to kind of more modern day references, but not overloading with the Spartans thing that you were talking about, where they make constant references. But it keeps it entertaining and up to date and fun for the kids, and so I highly recommend. And actually, I think you can find, because of the pandemic, a recording of Aladdin on YouTube.
Interesting.
I know they were posting them, so I highly recommend looking that up, if not the others.
Also, the soundtrack is incredible.
Oh, yeah. All right, should we move on?
I think so.
So we're doing a very different genre here.
Very different film. Alien, the quadrilogy. Though we've only seen the first two at this point, so...
I know what happens at the beginning of the third one, and I don't want to watch it.
Yeah, they kill off Newt.
That's so mean. But
why, David Fincher?
So, what I really like about the first two movies is they're completely different genres. Alien being a horror film, and then Aliens being an action film. And it does a good job not repeating anything that might, I'm not saying get old, but it keeps it fresh.
Agreed. Because, the whole thing with the first one is oh, they're trying to make sure that they don't get killed by all of these. Or, not by all of these, because it's only alien, singular, by this alien. And then with the second one, it's let's kill as many of these aliens as possible. And it was actually the inspiration for Halo.
Oh, that makes sense, actually.
Right?
Thinking about it, that makes perfect sense. It's got another great actor who passed, Bill Paxton, in Aliens. There's a lot of people who've passed away that have been in the franchise.
Yeah.
But
John Hurt.
Yeah. Sigourney Weaver is absolutely fantastic as Ripley. If you're like me and not a fan of horror, definitely give Alien a try. I had to watch it for a class in school. I think it was a sound class, and I was like, I'm scared because I hate horror. I really liked it, and I think because I don't like horror, I like Aliens more. It's more my genre.
I will say I think I just prefer Aliens in general, just because I'm more of an action person anyways.
Yeah, well that's me too.
Yeah.
I really prefer my action adventure films.
Right.
And I like sci-fi.
But it's not necessarily because I have a problem with horror films.
Right, which I definitely do. So
What's next?
Oh, yeah.
Anastasia.
So, I did not grow up with Anastasia like a lot of people. All the... I don't want to stereotype all the girls in my class. They would think Anastasia was a Disney princess movie when it was actually a Fox animation
Now it
film.
is.
Well, now she's a Disney princess. It's a very historically inaccurate telling of Anastasia Romanoff from, Russian royalty. So I didn't watch this until I was in college. I think I was about 19 when I first watched it. And because I don't have that nostalgia, I think it's overrated.
It's okay.
Yeah, it only has maybe 2 or 3 good songs. A lot of the songs I can take or leave. The villain song is terrible.
Oh yeah, the Be Prepared ripoff.
It's Be Prepared, but they put it in a major key during some parts, and and there's bugs, and it's kind of dumb. But I don't know. You gave me a weird look.
And I'm just thinking about the movie. Because, I'm posing as Anastasia. But actually, I am Anastasia. What?
I feel like something else I saw did that recently. And it's driving me crazy. Oh, well, I'll figure it out later.
I don't know. Should we move on?
Yeah, there's not much to say about Anastasia.
There's not. It's fine. Land Before Time is better.
Yeah.
Same director.
Oh, it was?
Okay.
Okay.
Pretty sure both were directed by Don Bluth.
Oh, yeah, Don Bluth. I knew it was Don Bluth, too. I don't know why, for some reason, I was like, who?
Yeah, so there's my recommendation. Don't watch Anastasia. Watch Land Before Time instead.
Land Before Time came out the same weekend as Oliver and Company.
I watched that movie when I was 23 years old, and it tore my heart out.
Yeah, when we first started dating, he had never seen A Land Before Time, and I said, "Oh, be ready." But we'll talk more about that movie when we get there.
Right. Next is the Michael Bay film Armageddon. You remember back when Michael Bay was good?
When was Michael Bay good? Because, alright, so plot of Armageddon, asteroid coming to Earth, and to save the world, they take these oil drillers and send them to space. And here's the thing. You would think that the movie would get really interesting when they get into space, but it's the opposite. On Earth, it's a bit fun. Did the cat just turn on the Xbox?
My cat just turned on the Xbox.
He's not allowed to do that.
It's one of those heat-sensitive buttons.
And he just rubbed against it. Binks, you are a menace. But, no, as soon as the movie goes to space, it gets so boring. It's like, can we just get back to Earth?
Yeah, like, not gonna lie. Right before they go into space, this movie kind of rules.
It's funny, because I'm looking at the cover of this Blu-ray, and I don't know when... I think the cover might have been an old poster for it, because it's got the cast, so Bruce Willis, Ben Affleck, and Liv Tyler on the cover. But for above the title Armageddon, it just says Bruce Willis. Despite the fact that Ben Affleck is quite a name now, and, you know, Liv Tyler, people know from Lord of the Rings. So I just kind of find it funny that they're only really advertising Bruce Willis. Mm-hmm. And boy, do I wish we could use face cam so I could show you the cover. But you did not want to look at the inside of this apartment. It is too tiny. Yeah.
I liked how just over the top it was.
Yeah.
And it's weird because they kind of hold back once they do go into space.
It's very hard to follow when they get to space, too.
Like, they treat it like a very serious drama out of nowhere. And it's just like, no, you're supposed to be a dumb action movie. Just do that. Play to your strengths, man.
They do play itself way too seriously.
Yeah.
I think there's one really good thing that came out of it, and it's an awesome song.
Don't want to close my eyes.
You don't want to get copyright struck.
I know, I sounded just like him.
Yeah. So Aerosmith, you know, Steven Tyler, who is the father of Liv Tyler, sings the song Don't Want to Miss a Thing, which I walked down the aisle to that song.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So there's a little tidbit. We had to do some movie stuff related in our wedding. And
we had a lot of movie soundtracks in our wedding.
I walked down the aisle to Don't Want to Miss a Thing, and then after we were pronounced husband and wife, when we walked back, they played Married Life from Up.
That's right.
Yep, so there's not much to say about Armageddon. It's not good. I will say, though, at the very end, when Bruce Willis's character sacrifices himself and, like, he hits the button and he goes through his life with his daughter, I always get choked up. Like, I could be bored out of mind, and that scene will come on, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Alright, and we have one last movie that we're going to talk about. And
going back to James Cameron.
Yeah.
Going full circle here. Avatar.
The Blue People one, not the Blue Arrow. Also known as Pocahontas, also known as Ferngully. Avatar is one of those movies that was such a big buzz around. Everyone talked about it. But the visual spectacle of it was fantastic to the point where people were seeing it more than once. It broke box office records, but...
people were contemplating suicide because the look of Pandora was so gorgeous.
But the movie itself is just okay. Like, it's pretty good, but it's nothing amazing. And it's so interesting that the movie that is back at number 1 in the box office worldwide is just a pretty good film.
Right. And another thing is, you know, we watched this pretty recently. We watched all these movies recently. But this was like the first time in a good, I'd say, 10 years that I've seen this movie. Because the last time I watched it was about the time that it came out. So, 2009... Yeah, about 10 years.
I was in 9th grade when it came out.
Yeah, and I did have like a newfound appreciation for it. I have appreciation for the visual aspects of it. Like, this movie is an absolute blast to watch. And it was filmed in IMAX, so you get like the entire thing filled up on your TV when you watch at home, which is great.
You obsess over that.
Oh, whenever a movie is filmed in IMAX, I absolutely love it because I don't have to deal with those stupid widescreen black bars.
Yeah, those still bother me, but you just can't deal with them. Sorry.
And it's like, I know the point. It's to preserve, the aspect ratio that the original film was shot in. But like, if you can film in IMAX, you are on my good side because that will translate very well on a TV.
One of the things we did when we watched it this past time,
the extended cuts.
Yeah, I had never seen the extended cut, and honestly, I liked it.
It made it actually make a lot of sense. Okay, prime example. So, you know how the movie, for the first 20 minutes or so, it's just voiceover. It's just Jake Sully being like, they weren't supposed to send a man to a space, or something like that. I don't think they say that in the movie, but you get the idea. It's very, very brooding, and it's just him spouting off exposition to you when they could be showing it to you, which this is a spectacle movie, so shouldn't you be showing me as much as possible? And there's a scene where he's at a space bar and he gets thrown out. And that's when he finds out about his brother.
Yeah, you don't get a look at what Earth looks like, which is basically cyberpunk.
Yes, it's very Blade Runner.
Yeah, in the theatrical run, but you get to see him on Earth at the very beginning. And I actually feel like it added to it, which surprised me. So I actually do recommend the extended cut for a movie that's already very long, but I don't know, I liked it.
It's easy. It's funny, I didn't care about the runtime of the extended cut just because I was able to attach myself onto the characters a bit more. So I was able to kind of stay in for the long haul. That's why the runtime of Avengers Endgame is okay because, well, you've been with these people for, the last 10 years, and so you're invested. You want to see what happens.
If you haven't gotten a chance to, and you get the opportunity to go to Disney's Animal Kingdom, they have a whole world of Pandora there with a couple of rides. And on our honeymoon, we got to go. It's
really a match made in heaven.
It was really neat.
Disney parks and Avatar is incredible because Avatar doesn't work well as a film, but it works well as an experience. And Disney World is the park of experiences. Oh my goodness.
Flight of Passage. We waited... It wasn't that... It was, what, 75 minutes?
That sounds right.
That sounds correct. No, it was 135 minutes. I remember it was just over 2 hours.
Okay.
And that morning I had food poisoning. Disney. Thanks, Disney, for that, because we split all of our meals and he wasn't sick except for because of a dessert. We got a different dessert that night, and I woke up with food poisoning at 3 a.m. So thanks, Disney.
What was it, like strawberry sherbet?
It was. But we were at the parks at 8:30 in the morning, and
it was so worth it.
Oh my gosh.
I almost got choked up. Almost.
It was so good. The other ride, Navi River Journey,
which is also at Animal Kingdom.
It's okay. It's like a slow boat ride, kind of like It's a Small World. It's pretty, but I wouldn't recommend waiting a long time for it. We had a fast pass for that one, and I'm glad we did because the wait was like 65 minutes when we got there, and if I had to wait 65 minutes, for that ride, I would have been very upset by the end. But the 135-minute wait for Flight of Passage was so worth it.
Ride it if the line is short and your feet are tired.
Oh, yeah. Your feet, if you haven't been able to go, your feet will hurt by the end of the day.
Well, I think that's all the Blu-rays we have for this week.
That's what we pulled aside. So, are we going to talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Let's do it.
Yeah, so today was the finale of the all 6 episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or should we say Captain America
That's right.
and the Winter Soldier.
Which, does that imply that there's going to be a season 2, or are they just like kind of throwing that in there for fan service? Like, it's Captain America and the Winter Soldier now.
I think it's more of like a moment of like of solidity.
Okay, so fan service.
Yeah. There's that. So in this episode, we get to see Sam with a full-on Stars and Stripes new outfit from Wakanda. It's fantastic. Looks awesome on him, and he has officially taken over the role of Captain America, and it is amazing.
His suit looks incredible.
It really does.
Like, I like the way they incorporate the Stars and Stripes into the wings.
So I wish I had talked about last week my theories for this episode, because I was kind of... I hit the nail on the head on a couple things.
Oh, yeah?
Which was... My predictions was that Carly's story would be ended, and John Walker's would not. John Walker would be shown to other things. So let's first talk about the Flag Smashers and Carly, because the Flag Smashers has been kind of the weakest part of the show, in my opinion.
I think the Flag Smashers in this is a lot like Baron Zemo in Civil War. You didn't really need Baron Zemo in Civil War to tear apart the Avengers. The Sokovia Accords did that all on its own. And much like with this, you don't need the Flag Smashers to create conflict, because the character of John Walker creates enough conflict all on his own.
But yeah, it's funny. I found so spoilers for the Miles Morales game that came out on PS4 and PS5. She really reminded me of Finn.
Right, the Tinkerer.
Yeah, just upset over upset's an understatement, but hurt by what's going on and taking the extreme path to correct it. And it just, in the end, of course, destroyed her. And so I don't know if we're going to see any more of the Flag Smashers. I don't think so, because they at the end talk about how when the Flag Smashers are gone, it could be a different movement. These things aren't going to go away if you keep presenting new problems to the public. So I personally think we're not going to see any more of the Flag Smashers, but I am very excited that we're going to see more of John Walker, the previous Captain America, and the current U.S. agent. So I'm so happy to get more of him. I absolutely had so much fun with his character. He was the guy you love to hate. I'm so down for more John Walker.
Can we talk about the scene where Sam Wilson has that kind of gee whiz, look what I learned today moment?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's around the very end. Actually, it's not the very end. There were so many climaxes to this episode.
It kind of went Return of the King on us.
It really did. But after they win this battle, Sam Wilson basically gives this speech about moving forward, and the sense of legacy that Sam Wilson has with carrying the shield. And it's this very hopeful message. Just like, yeah, people might hate me for the fact that I have this shield, but that's okay, because I just want to push for a better tomorrow, and I'm going to do what I can do here and now. And it was very much a superhero moment.
It was comic booky, and that made it great.
Yes. It felt like Superman or Stan's soapbox that he would have in the beginning of the comics, where he would basically be like, good superheroes don't cheat on the test, true believer.
That makes me think of the beginning of the Clone Wars episodes, where it'll have the moral written in the text. That's what that makes me think of.
Yeah, but it didn't come off as cheesy. It so could have come off as cheesy, and maybe it should have, but for some reason it worked for me.
I love the wrap up with Isaiah.
Oh, Isaiah is such a fascinating character. I love the fact that we got so much time with him, because they were having to wrap up a lot of things in this episode, and so I'm glad that Isaiah didn't get shortchanged.
Yeah, and the adding that memorial to the
Yeah,
Captain
because
America
give a little
history.
backstory on his character.
Yeah, so Isaiah was part of an experimentation done on him and other African American soldiers with super serum during the Korean War. And many didn't survive. Those who did were basically tortured. And Isaiah decided to go against orders, rescue his fellow soldiers who were going to be killed. They were POWs, and the U.S. Army just said, "Oh, we'll just blow up the building instead of bothering to rescue them." And so he went and rescued his soldiers, brought them back, was burned, and thrown in jail for 30 years with his death certificate falsified. And it was awful. And he got compared to, Steve, who did the exact same thing, defied orders, rescued Bucky, and was given like acknowledgement and I think a medal. Like he was praised for this to just show the difference between what a white soldier in America compared to a black soldier, and even such a time difference between World War II and the Korean War, just how differently they were treated. And so giving him the acknowledgement that not only did he exist, but the sins of the past with the army is now on full display for the public to see. And it was touching. I was getting emotional there seeing Isaiah give Sam that hug because he needed this.
Thank you for finally getting my story out there.
Mm-hmm. So I absolutely love that. Bucky also had his closure where he had to, what was his name? He had to tell him that his son...
It was the old Asian guy.
And he had to tell him that he's the one who killed his son.
Yeah, he killed him back when he was under mind control as the Winter Soldier.
I like that because, you could try to make an excuse. Like, well, I was mind controlled, so there's no way I couldn't do this. But he said it so way,
I had no choice.
Yeah, he started out saying, your son was murdered by the Winter Soldier, who was me. I had no choice. It's just so heartbreaking, but it was what he needed.
Oh man, I was waiting for a reaction from the old guy, like get out of my house. But you don't even see how he reacts. You just see Bucky leave in the next shot.
Yeah, I guess kind of leave up to our imaginations of whatever we think could have happened.
Oh man, it was heartbreaking.
We can talk about Sharon Carter.
Yeah.
So she's the power broker, which didn't come out of left field. That was kind of not hinted, but kind of like Mephisto was the power broker. That was kind of a guess. Like, oh, I bet Sharon's the power broker.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just not sure how I feel about it. Just because I don't know where they're going to take it from here on out. Because, we had Sharon Carter back in Winter Soldier and Civil War, and now she just kind of all of a sudden comes back.
I think also, before the shows on Disney Plus, you would see someone get introduced and think, oh, we'll see them in the next movie. But now we'll be given a plot point, and we don't know if it's going to feed into a movie, into a show. It could go anywhere. So I don't know if Sharon Carter's plotline is going to be part of... Is Secret Invasion the Skrull story with...
Yes, it is.
Because usually, Sharon Carter is involved with S.H.I.E.L.D., which usually when I think S.H.I.E.L.D., I think Nick Fury, who's going to be involved in Secret Invasion. I'm pretty sure Photon is going to be part of that too.
Really?
From WandaVision. Oh my gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue. From Captain Marvel, little girl. Monica Rambeau.
Oh, from WandaVision.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure that Photon is going to be her superhero name.
Ah.
And yeah, because her mom was given the name Spectrum as part of her military name, so I think she's going to be Photon.
Okay.
So we know she's probably part of Secret Invasion, but I don't know if Sharon is going to be part of a show, or I don't know, maybe she'll probably be part of Armor Wars with Justin Hammer, if it's about selling weapons and secret intelligence. Who knows? Or it could be Captain America 4, which I haven't seen. Everyone's saying it's confirmed with Sam. I hope so. I'd be so down for Captain America 4 with our new Captain America.
Yeah, I'm just really really excited for Captain America 4 cuz like we got the announcement like today after the series premiere finally aired. And so we're like, "Oh, I didn't know that was happening. Show me what you got."
I'm really excited for it. I'm trying to think.
Dude, if we get more US Agent in Captain America 4, that would be amazing.
I think they're setting up for the Thunderbolts because you got Zemo and U.S. Agent. It's funny because I don't really read the comics, but we were researching into the Thunderbolts, and there was another big name in there that got my attention that I feel like they could do. But regardless, I'm really excited to see what they're setting up, and also Zemo's got quite the butler who blew up the group of flag smashers in the van. And it's funny because I didn't recognize him at first. I'm terrible at recognizing faces. And I was like, who's the old man? And then I was like, oh, it's Zemo's butler.
The butler did it.
The butler did it with the, in the van. It's like a game of Clue. I'm trying to think any other loose... We talk about U.S. Agent, Sam, Bucky, Sharon. That's basically the loose ends. I really liked it. It completely surprised me because I was expecting the show to be
just a retread of Winter Soldier.
Yeah, which I mean I love Winter Soldier, but I thought back to formula, but it really showed itself to something unique and fun. And one last thing is I love that the title screen of Falcon and Winter Soldier did switch over to Captain America and Winter Soldier, just making it official. It was awesome.
Yeah, and I think that's all we got for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Oh, sorry. Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
I want to talk about God of War.
God of War.
So God of War just turned 3 years old this year.
Specifically, the new one.
Yeah, that came out in 2018. And there's so many like smaller games, but I think it's kind of like the fourth big one in the God of War franchise. So for those who don't know, God of War is about a character named Kratos who is from ancient Greece and basically becomes the God of War after selling his soul to the then God of War Ares, is forced to kill in his name, is given these blades that are fused into his arms, kills his wife and daughter by accident, and then decides that he is done with all gods and goes on a complete rampage.
And just decides to kill the entire Greek pantheon one by one.
I love this quote in God of War 2018 where someone's like, well, the pantheon had it coming. But I had no exposure to the God of War franchise. And for my birthday in 2018, John got me God of War. I thought he was giving me... Because when I got the gift and it was clearly a video game, I thought it would be Uncharted Lost Legacy because I'm a huge fan of the Uncharted series. And when I opened it up and saw it was God of War, I was very shocked because I heard it was a great movie, but it was not really on my radar or something I would get. So I started playing it, and it's my favorite video game, basically, of all time. I absolutely love it. So if you haven't picked it up, and even if you haven't had any access, because we went back and went through the other God of War games.
Yeah, and it's funny, I tried to play the first two games, but those came out on the PS2, and I've been very spoiled by the PS4, PS5 era stuff. And so going back and trying to replay the first two is very, very difficult because gameplay is just a lot easier nowadays. The buttons, the controls, everything is just a lot more intuitive. And so what we did instead was we just watched a playthrough of the first two games on YouTube, and then I finally played God of War 3, and that might actually be my favorite of the franchise. Though God of War God of War 4, if you want to call it that, is a very, very close second. Like 3 and 4 are both fantastic games.
Yeah, I'm not. The third one is more of a hack and slash game because the fourth one completely changed the format. First of all, it doesn't even take place in ancient Greece anymore. It's Norse mythology, which is like all the rage. And so.
Thanks, Marvel.
Yeah.
And for some reason, like QAnon people,
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah, racists are really like the Norse thing. Assassin's Creed went after
That's right, Assassin's
Norse
Creed
mythology.
Valhalla.
Yeah. But even if you haven't had any prior exposure to the God of War franchise, and I'm actually not going to spoil anything. I just want to, acknowledge a happy birthday. But please pick it up. I absolutely loved it. Oscars are this Sunday.
Yeah, they are. We watched maybe 5 movies.
Yeah, we're for lovers of film, we're also like busy.
And so we're oftentimes behind on the newest films. Case in point, literally 5 of the films we just reviewed were movies that we own on Blu-ray that we have seen 10 times in the past 5 years.
We've seen 3 of the Best Picture noms, which is Judas and the Black Messiah, the Chicago 7, and The Sound of Metal.
Yep. Both very or all 3 of them are very excellent films, by the way.
I really enjoyed all 3 of them. I like the ASL aspects of Sound of Metal. I took sign language classes in college, and I wouldn't say conversational, but I can fingerspell. And a lot of the times I would find myself trying to translate. And if I could catch something that wouldn't be, translated, I would tell you. I'd be like, oh, hey, they said this.
Right.
Which I loved doing.
Another thing that I liked about it was the sound mixing. Mm-hmm. Because there's a certain point where actually not even a certain point, but just throughout the whole movie, you kind of hear what Riz Ahmed's character is hearing. And so at one point, mild spoilers, I guess, he gets cochlear, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. Cochlear implants in his head, but it's not nearly as amazing of a improvement as he expected it to be, and I absolutely love the last shot of this movie. And it's where he hears all the noise that's coming through those implants, and then he just takes them off, and it's just pure silence. And that was his victory, was just accepting that he is deaf. And if you choose to have cochlear implants, don't take this as oh, you shouldn't do this. It was just a nice, fascinating movie about a man learning to live with his struggles.
Is Riz Ahmed nominated for Best Actor?
I believe he is, and I'm pretty sure he's the first Muslim to be nominated.
That's really cool. Yeah, he deserves a nomination for sure.
Yeah, so there was The Sound of Metal, and then there was The Trial of Chicago 7, which, interestingly enough, was written by the guy who wrote the stage play for A Few Good Men. And you can see a lot of A Few Good Men isms in The Trial of Chicago 7. First and foremost, it's a court case film.
Very dialogue-driven as well.
And it's about these...
true events.
This is based on true events of 7 people back in the late 60s who are on trial for a supposed riot in the middle of Chicago. And it's known as the most disorderly court case in American history.
Also one of the most politicized, because the judge was just so decided already on what the outcome was going to be. I really liked it. What's his name?
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah, I'm terrible
Borat,
with names.
baby.
I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah, he had quite a wacky accent, and it kind of worked for me. There was one line that I think is hilarious, and that's Sacha Baron Cohen's character, Abby Hoffman, has like the same last name as the judge, and the judge says something along the lines of, "I want you to know that I have no relations with this man," and Sacha Baron Cohen goes, "Father, no," and just this character has zero respect for this judge. Like there's one point where they dress up as like judges when they come in. Like they were just treating the entire thing like a joke, and it was hilarious.
I read that they actually did show up, in that was real, that in the judge outfits one day. So that's really cool. And then there's Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yeah, Judas and the Black Messiah,
Also,
which is another very political film that feels very timely to today.
It's also based off a true story.
That's right.
I really like looking into the history of that one. And it's basically about a black man who is, bribed into betraying
The Black Panther Party.
Yeah.
Hence the name Judas.
Yeah. It hurt to watch, just like, ugh. And the guy who, the real guy behind it, I did an interview where he talked about, betraying all these people. I think he killed himself shortly after.
Just like a few days later.
Yeah, after conducting the interview, after like it was broadcast, he killed himself, which I don't commit suicide, but I get it. I get why he did.
He just wasn't able to live with himself.
Yeah, or live with people knowing the truth.
Yeah, maybe.
Could have been that. I don't know. I don't know if he actually felt remorse or not.
And let me just say, Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya, they are just... I am fascinated by both of their careers. Because I saw both of them in Get Out initially, and then it's just more and more I keep seeing them pop up in different places. Like, what was Lakeith Stanfield also in? He was also in Atlanta. He was in Sorry to Bother You. And he was in something else. He was in Knives Out.
That's right.
Yeah, because he was the, other detective besides...
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig, thank you. I kept wanting to say Pierce Brosnan, but that was the other 007.
Yeah, so also a really good movie. So I don't know, I haven't seen the other, so I don't know how those three will stand up.
Yeah, because what are the others? Let me look real quick.
One...
You have The Father, which is the movie starring Anthony Hopkins as a man who is suffering from Alzheimer's, if I understand correctly.
So my Mimi has Alzheimer's, so I do not want to go watch that movie. It's a little too close to home.
Plus, it's kind of a swan song for Anthony Hopkins because he is starting to get old, and you're kind of having to accept the fact, we're not going to have Anthony Hopkins forever.
Yeah.
The other one was Mank, which is the Gary Oldman film about the man who did the script for Citizen Kane.
That sounds right.
Oh no.
Our Binks is in a box.
No.
He's not.
Binks.
Binks, get out of the box.
Get out of the box.
You want to talk about the controversy?
Yeah, so
Binks?
apparently there's some controversy surrounding Gary Oldman at the moment because...
Oh, he's out of food.
Because the main character, Mank, he was Jewish, and recently Gary Oldman was apparently defending some very anti-Semitic comments that Mel Gibson said back in the day.
It's pretty bad.
And so I think he's a little in hot water right now, which I guess is kind of par for the course for the Oscars. There has to be some kind of drama right before the Oscars. It's inevitable.
Alright. Our Binks has been fed. I feel like also it's whichever film has the most controversy that ends up winning.
Right. That's always how it seems to be. And then you got Minari, which has Stephen Ewan from The Walking Dead. And it's about a immigrant Korean family who start their own farm, and they kind of realize that, achieving the American dream is a lot harder than it's cracked up to be.
I definitely want to see that one.
Yes, and most of these movies we haven't watched, not because we don't want to, but just because they're not available unless you either buy them or you go out to the theater. Whereas the ones that we have seen were all on streaming. Granted, Mank and Nomadland are both on streaming, so we don't really have any excuse for that one, but still.
What's our excuse?
And then you have Promising Woman, which I don't know anything about, actually.
It's about this. It's about I can't remember the actress's name, but she was in Great Gatsby. It's not really like a women revenge story. I don't know. I just know the poster. It gives off like Harley Quinn vibes.
We have to talk about who is nominated for Best Supporting Actress.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so comedy films are always completely snubbed at the Oscars. They just are ignored. They're not taken seriously. So when we got an Oscar nomination from Borat subsequent movie sequel. Is that what it's called?
It's called Borat Subsequent Movie Film.
Movie film. Okay.
And it is obviously a sequel to the 2006 mockumentary. And I really like the second film a lot. I think I like the first one a bit more, but the second one does a fantastic job at not necessarily capturing the magic of the original, because you can't, but telling a new story with this very familiar character. So familiar, in fact, that there are several shots in which he can't even dress up as his normal Borat self because so many people recognize this character, and so many times he has to dress up as Borat, who is dressed up as another character.
So do you want to say like what the nomination is? Because I love it. I was so happy when I saw this.
Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah.
Yeah, from what's her name?
Maria Baklova.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, who plays Borat's daughter in the film. And man, she does a fantastic job at capturing Sacha Baron Cohen's energy, and she has that same level of talent of stringing these unsuspecting guests along.
She's like, I swallowed the baby.
Oh my goodness. The scene where they go see that evangelical doctor, and they're basically saying how they like want to get the baby removed.
It's a small plastic baby that was on a cupcake that she ate.
Hence the quote that Marissa was giving.
I swallowed the baby. I swallowed the baby. Well, I think she totally deserves it. I was so shocked and so happy that she got the nomination. So I just really wanted to shout out her in that film because it was so great.
Ooh, we got to talk about the animated features that are nominated. We have Onward, Over the Moon, Shaun the Sheep the movie, Farmageddon, Soul, and Wolfwalkers.
We need to see Over the Moon. I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, I don't know a single thing about Shaun the Sheep the movie.
Yeah.
I know about Shaun the Sheep. It's from the same people who made Wallace and Gromit.
So I guess I'm not gonna say we're shills for Disney, but
but those are the two movies that we did watch. They were both Disney films.
So Onward and Soul, of course, is going to win.
It better win. If it doesn't win, I'm going to be very upset. And it's so funny. I feel like Onward is nominated for Best Animated Feature kind of by default, because there weren't that many films that came out.
Hey, Boss Baby got nominated when Lego Batman did not get nominated, so I disagree with that statement, in that you can be a lot more picky when it comes to the animated nominations, because Lego Batman did not get a nomination and it deserved one. That movie was great.
Uh, yeah, Lego Batman. That has got to be one of my favorite Batman films.
It really is. It's so good. But Soul
Um,
was so good.
yeah, and I remember thinking to myself that, like, oh, great, it's going to give me an existential crisis about the afterlife.
That's what I thought too. I thought it was going to be a lot about death, but it was the opposite. It was about life.
It was
And
about appreciating life while you have it because you never know when it can be taken away from you. So you may as well capture this moment while you have it.
and it's also about enjoying the little things, things that you wouldn't have thought to stop and acknowledge. It's all a part of the journey of life, and it's like go and live it how you want to.
Yeah, because there's one part where Tina Fey's character is talking about, like, well, can I live life for this slice of pizza or this leaf on the ground? And Jamie Foxx is like, no, those are just regular stuff. But no, those are the things you're supposed to live for.
Yeah, just the small aspects make up just the whole picture. And we're dealing with the Binks again. I can't believe he...
Binks?
Binks, get out of the box. Alright, he's out of the box.
Binks, you are going outside.
Not outside. We're closing the door. Are any other nominations?
Let me look. Let me go down the rabbit hole.
I wish we could have a way to watch, because I do enjoy. I know the Oscars, they get less viewers every year, but I myself enjoy watching them. But we don't have an access. We don't have cable or satellite.
Those are all the films that we have watched. There are
Okay.
several films that I want to watch, that we need to watch, but we
Yeah.
haven't watched yet.
It's not like we're poor or anything.
Granted, everything is on streaming.
I know.
But yeah, this is going to be a very interesting Oscars. I half expected Hamilton to show up at one point, to be honest.
Could it have?
I don't know. Could it have?
I don't know.
I mean, yes, to play, but it was also a very cinematic play, and there was a lot of cinematography involved.
The recording was from 2016, though.
That's true, but I guess you do have a good point.
Yeah, so I don't think it could have.
But it didn't go live until this past year.
Yeah. Trying to think if there's any other, big film or entertainment news. No, we talked about everything I wrote down.
That's true. Well, where are we at now? We are just at over an hour, which is perfect because we went about an hour last time.
Yeah, so we're gonna continue doing these on Fridays. We originally were shooting for 8, and then everything kept getting pushed back. So I think I like 9. I think 9's a good time to do these. So you'll catch us again next Friday. We'll continue our Blu-ray collection list. Check out our Instagram story. We post pictures of, not the story, but our feed, I guess. And we'll post a picture of the movies that we're going over. So you can actually get a look at what I'm talking about with Armageddon. And again, that poster with Bruce Willis. But I don't know, I'm trying to think.
I think that's everything.
Yeah.
All right. I will see you guys later. I am Higgs. I am Higgs. This has been my flick. And I will talk in your ear next time.
All right, bye.